Hi, my name is Jay Sugarman, and I want to welcome you to Innovation Showcase. The main purpose of this ongoing series is to inform viewers about exciting innovations and creative individuals across the fields of business, science, technology, education, and the arts. Today, via Zoom, we're fortunate to have as our guest Robbie Khazan. Robbie is a senior at Arlington High School, and he's also the founder and now serves as the chief instructor of Kiddo Byte, a nonprofit that provides free coding courses for children, regardless of their family's ability to pay. During the program, we're finding out why and how Kiddo Byte came about and how it's grown, developed, and operates today. Let's start by meeting Robbie and then finding out all about Kiddo Byte. Welcome, Robbie. So delighted to be able to be here.
Hey, it's really great to see you, Jay.
Just want to start by saying congratulations for what you and your team have been able to accomplish in a relatively short period of time. Eager to hear all about it and have you inform viewers. Before we jump right to hearing about Kiddo Byte, I think it would be of interest to just hear a little bit about your background and perhaps some of your interests.
Yeah, I'm Robbie. I am a senior at Arlington High School, and as Jay said, I founded Kiddo Byte in the fall of 2020. My interests include I really like to build things. Obviously, I like to program, and outside of academics and Kiddo Byte, I love to swim. I am running track in my high school, and yeah.
Terrific, terrific. Well, mentioned being the founder of Kiddo Byte. First of all, why and how did it come about? What was your vision for developing such successful, as it's turned out now, initiative?
Yeah, so Kiddo Byte started just by me teaching my sister Scratch, just like my dad taught me when I was a kid. And what soon became a much bigger organization, started out very small. I was working with my sister and then realized that I really enjoyed teaching and sharing my knowledge and really seeing my sister get so passionate and excited about Scratch that we then expanded it to my sister's friends in the area of Arlington where I live. And we were going through their parents, and then we decided that we could go even further. And step by step, we then opened it up to kind of focus our efforts more on an underprivileged community who might not have access to computer science anyways, otherwise. And that's when Kiddo Byte really blossomed to the organization it is today.
How did you make that move? I mean, what was involved in planning, connecting with the number of groups now that you've been involved with?
Yeah, it's really all come about through support. We have not been able to do this alone, whether that's volunteers or just at the beginning, having contacts that would connect us to all the different transitional housing shelters, after school programs, homeless shelters. Those were our ways of kind of reaching the community and trying to establish ourselves as a educational activity for students to participate in.
What were some of the challengers or maybe roadblocks in getting things off the ground?
Right. Well, what was originally seen as a challenge, which was the COVID-19 pandemic, and definitely was a challenge in many ways, also served us an opportunity. But I'd love to talk about why that was a challenge. Well, first, a lot of programming classes can be done online, but trying to go in person was also something that we wanted to do just to make the classes a bit more engaging, a bit more fun. Because while Zoom does make things more accessible, and we run Zoom classes to this day, having that in-person aspect is always just going to have an edge over the online format. So that was one of the main challenges. But what ended up happening is we started online with, for example, the Brookview House, one of our main partners, which is a transitional housing shelter in Dorchester. And we did online Scratch classes for, I believe, 2 months before the COVID-19 pandemic started to allow us to come in, following the guidelines and mask procedures, and we were able to come in person at the Brookview House and have been coming ever since.
Can you give a little sense of how you've brought into your group, who's involved as some of your co-instructors?
Yeah, so Kiddo Byte is a pretty big endeavor. And so we have a team of 45 volunteers Not all of them are instructors. We do have a majority of them being instructors, but other volunteers serve critical roles as fundraisers and marketers and onboarding volunteers. But our instructors are a team of very dedicated volunteers who work to either work online or come in person with us to the homeless shelter in Dorchester, their support is what makes Kiddo Byte work.
Mhm. Often when we have different innovatives or inventives on, they say there's quite a distinction and different set of skills between coming up with an idea like Kiddo Byte and then sort of getting it out in the real world, whether it's a business or a social initiative like that. What was it like trying to develop and broaden those skills from just the idea of Kiddo Byte to all the other things that were down the road?
Right. Well, I think that you're absolutely right because Kiddo Byte isn't that revolutionary of an idea. Having free computer science classes is obviously really, really great, but it's not the most unheard of, new idea. So taking Kiddo Byte from an idea to reality was for me, it almost for me it came naturally just because with the COVID-19 pandemic, I had more time at home on my computer. My classes were like, I had like less amount of classes, which meant I had less amount of coursework, which meant I could focus more time on Kiddo Byte. And I also just immediately dived in. It became my passion. It became my baby. I often refer to Kiddo Byte as my baby because it really was. I fostered it, nurtured it, and with that, had this bond that there was never really any question of, oh, I have to go work on Kiddo Byte. No, it was never really a something I had to force myself to do.
And definitely something that appealed to quite a few others to develop your team, again, rather quickly and to take on the different roles that you mentioned. We're fortunate to have some images here of some of your colleagues with students, I believe here at the Brookview.
Yes, this is at the Brookview House in Dorchester. And this specific day, we actually had a cryptography workshop in which a professional from the MIT Lincoln Laboratory came on to share her background in cryptography and give the kids a basic foundation for code cracking and secret message writing.
Very interesting. And I think that's one of the features that really appealed to me in reading what you've been able to accomplish is your approach. Would you share how you envisioned and that put into action the way that these courses, the classes would run?
Right. So the general philosophy behind all of our courses, no matter whether it's Python, Scratch, cryptography, or whatever, and what I argue separates us from other organizations like us, is we focus on having kids have fun. Obviously, we want to teach them computer science. That's a really major goal. But almost beyond that goal is having kids engaged, learning, like really just excited about computer science, because our goal is to excite them so that way they'll explore computer science further. They're gonna go and seek those opportunities after Kiddo Byte and really try to hone their knowledge. And we're sort of serving a foundation, offering a foundation for them to grow upon, and trying not to almost do them a disservice by scaring them away, and making the classes boring and maybe making them feel intimidating. I feel like a lot of what Kiddo Byte stands for is making sure that kids feel like they can do it, that they can also participate in computer science.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. How do the instructors sort of initiate the classes? Do you have a written sort of curriculum or guide that you've put together or some just maybe bullet points? How does that operate from different instructors?
Yeah, so we do have a syllabus for all of our courses, especially the online ones. But then for each instructor, if they're teaching separate classes within a general course of like Intro to Python, then we have multiple instances of that. Each volunteer or each instructor is going to teach the class in a different way. They have complete creative freedom. It's one of my philosophies for onboarding and then retaining volunteers. It's offering autonomy to volunteers to really make the class their own. just like Kiddo Byte was my baby, have classes be the teacher's baby. So that way they can sort of teach it how they want, implement their own style of teaching, and not only make it fun for the kids, but make it fun for the instructors.
Mhm. Just these few initial slides that we're enjoying, notice the number of volunteers for the classes that you're giving. It's a terrific ratio for instructor to student.
Yeah, we definitely wanted to have a lot of hands-on work, be able to offer very just one-on-one sort of help when needed, but also have a general instructor who's leading the course. So this is Ariel, and she was the MIT employee, and then us Kiddo Byte volunteers were sort of walking through the classroom and helping students, with whatever they needed.
How did the MIT connection come about, especially with Lincoln Lab?
Just like so many of our connections and sponsorships, it all really starts with a cold call or an email, just trying to reach out, and then it's grown from there. So I think we emailed Lincoln Laboratory and then immediately started having meetings with the PR office, and from there it just grew, and they basically are a huge contributor to Kiddo Byte's success, because not only have they taught the cryptography workshop, but they send another employee to help us teach the Girls Who Code course at Brookview. And we also have plans for an AI workshop, a supercomputing workshop, and a STEM day next week.
That's fabulous. What type of commitment do the instructors give to Kiddo Byte?
Sorry, Jay, could you just repeat the question?
What type of commitment? How long are they involved with a course or over the course of several?
Yeah, so the commitment is very flexible, because we understand that high schoolers and students in general are going to have very busy schedules. So we try to make it as seamless as possible. And the way that we do that is the courses themselves are only an hour long for each week, at least the online ones. So teachers who are teaching online only have to commit 1 hour per week to actually teaching. Then there's some prep and instructor training that goes into it. But again, those meetings are very flexible. And so we try to make that as easy as possible for the volunteers. Commitments that are a little bit bigger, like Brookview, we just sort of offer them to volunteers. Obviously, the reward is also a little bit higher, getting to work with kids in person. So volunteers are a bit more willing to spend 4 hours on a Saturday driving to Brookview, spending 2 hours driving back. It goes by really fast.
You mentioned starting first in your own family and beginning to reach out and grow. Would you please give us a sense of the reach you now have, well beyond, I believe, Massachusetts?
Yeah, so things definitely started in Massachusetts, but almost immediately when we started offering courses online, we had a reach throughout the US, and we had students joining from California, and I believe Arizona. And then a woman from Kenya reached out to us on email, who had found us on Google search, and told us that she loved Kiddo Byte and wanted to sign her kids up for a class. And I took it a step further and asked if she could, get together a group of students through her church. And we'd set up a class specific for Kenya, because the time difference didn't allow them to join any of the classes that we had already going. And so ever since, I think that was a year ago, we've been meeting every Sunday. This is 3 of the kids at the beginning of the class, and this class really just brings so much joy to my heart. These are the most incredible kids, always just full of laughter and love.
What a commitment. Every Sunday you've been meeting with these students, and what are some of the things you've been working on with them?
Yeah, so every week we'll sort of ask, what did you guys do this week? And usually one of the students will pipe up with some cool story, and then we'll try to find a way to integrate all the different stories together and create a scratch game. And we'll spend the hour and a half coding just anything. This is an example of an underwater bear shooting at a fish with honey on its head and wheels. I don't even remember how this game came about, but it was definitely a really fun day.
You know, the comment you made, sort of going with the students' current interest or what happened to them, is truly a sign of a veteran teacher. Something that I think even inventors who aren't in education per se, but listening and going to your clients, your users, to hear what they want, what they need, and then adapting either the product or in this case, your instruction to that. You can't engage people any better than that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
That- That's terrific. How long do these sessions with the Kenyan students last?
Anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half. It's pretty flexible. And the class itself, this class is, we don't really have a very strict syllabus just because it's more of a time to go and be creative.
Nice. You did mention the program language Scratch. Would you just say a few words about that for those not as familiar?
Absolutely. So Scratch is one of our many courses. It's a more beginner language. As you can see, it's very graphic and visual. So it's really great for kids. There's no typing. You're dragging blocks out from the left hand of the screen onto the middle part, which is sort of where you create code. And then the program actually compiles and just, runs before your eyes on the right hand side. And Scratch is really, really awesome for kids because it just allows them to be creative and have things just be immediate, very almost tangible on that computer screen. And it's really, really great. We also have Python and Java and Intro to 3D modeling, but Scratch is definitely one of our most in-demand courses.
Mhm, mhm. You know, in addition to the reward from, say, working with the students in Kenya, what have you learned either about education in Kenya or life in Kenya for your long-term relationship with them now?
Well, I've definitely learned that, you know, no one's that different. The kids are, while they're some of the most incredible and, as I said, very just full of life uh, kids I've ever met, they're also just kids. And so meeting with them every week is really just is just a lot of fun. There's definitely some discrepancies in culture which I've noticed, which have been very just like interesting to note. Sleeping outside when they went on a vacation was, they came back and they were talking about how much fun it was, and I was like, oh my, I would hate to live out, I would hate to sleep outside for a night, without that like tent. But they loved it, so that was something interesting that I noticed.
That's terrific, terrific. These next few are going to talk about a wonderful opportunity that came up where students receive some free Chromebooks. Would you share a little bit about how this developed and what we're going to be seeing?
Yeah, so as we were fundraising and asking for sponsorships and applying for grants, we sort of had in the back of our heads that we wanted to enable our students beyond the classroom, give them an opportunity to get the computer, take it home, and actually program on their own, explore the internet, explore Scratch, whatever it might be, just on their own. So we realized that a lot of kids who that we worked with at the Brookview House didn't have access to a device at home, or at least it would be taken away as soon as the COVID-19 pandemic waned off and kids returned to school in person, and their computers that were lent by the school got taken away. So we were able to fundraise money and actually buy, I believe, 9 Chromebooks for our students, and on a very beautiful day in June came to the kids at Brookview and had the absolute honor of seeing their faces as we offered them their Chromebooks.
I know even here with the mask on, you can see this boy's eyes and the smile that's definitely behind the mask
Yeah,
on soon to receive one of them.
right. That's Michael. He's really, really incredible. He's such a nice kid.
Hmm.
Yep, this is Nelson.
What type of classes have they been involved with?
So they've been involved with mainly Scratch, and then there were some like introductions to Python, but also they participated in all of the workshops. And on all the way on the right here is another volunteer named Shay. and she was coming to teach with me back in the spring of last year, and since our team has grown even more.
Nice, nice. Still has that smile that probably still hasn't worn off yet.
Absolutely.
What's been, in addition to receiving the Chromebooks, what's been some specific or general reaction and feedback to the range of students you've been involved with about their participation?
Yeah, well, it's been really, really incredible to see how kids have sort of taken the class and run with it. Some success stories, I guess, that stand out for me are one of the kids that we first started teaching, one of my sister's friends, and he was just getting introduced to Scratch with Kiddo Byte. And then I saw him starting to pick up pace during the class. He was starting to go a bit ahead every single week. And at this point, I've gone onto his profile on Scratch, and he is doing stuff that I don't even know how to do. So he really took Kiddo Byte and ran with it. And I'm really glad that we had the opportunity to provide that to him, to be that basis, because he's going to work at Google one day. I can call it.
Nice, nice. And then from the viewpoint of the instructors, what have they shared with you, or have you observed from watching them teach the courses?
Right. So I'm observing teachers and observing other instructors teach. I've seen that they have sort of come out just with a similar understanding that I've learned over the time of Kiddo Byte, which is it's just so rewarding. And there's always just a smile on their face, and I'm really, really happy to be able to make that an opportunity for other high schoolers to get involved, because Kiddo Byte is just the first step. Whether you can get involved in STEM education as an adult, that's hopefully the goal as well.
We spoke a little bit about your association with MIT's Lincoln Laboratory. What are some of the other organizations, the partners that you've collaborated with, and how is that operated?
Yeah, so we have lots of different sponsors. We have MIT Lincoln Laboratory. We are also partnered with their MIT Office of Government and Community Relations. We have partners throughout between Replit, which is where we host our Python course, and Java as well. And that's basically an online IDE where you can program just online, as if it's like a Google Docs for programming. And we have partners. We've received grants from Whole Foods, from Akamai, and we have partners with other organizations that actually help us onboard volunteers, reach more students to actually help us teach or fundraise.
And I know, in addition to the self-gratification you've gotten from this initiative, you've also been recognized in several different ways beyond a terrific feature on WCVB. Their Far Good segment highlighted you and your work. Could you share a little bit about that experience?
Yeah, well, this was one of many different media coverages that Kiddo Byte has received. It is media coverage just like this one is really a blessing in all forms, because not only does it help us spread the message of what Kiddo Byte stands for, of free education and making computer science accessible, but it also reaches people who want to volunteer, people who want to sign up for our courses, just broadens our reach. And so this day in particular, WCVB came to our class at the Brookview House. This is during the break when kids were playing on the Xbox, and we were trying to explain how the code was actually working. And that was a little bit even beyond me, I'm going to be honest. But the class itself was a huge success, and this program brought us a lot of coverage.
Terrific. When you look back to when you first got this idea to expand again beyond your family and the local neighborhood to where you are now, what are some of your thoughts or reflections on the process and the achievement?
Right. Well, I think when I first started Kiddo Byte, admittedly, I was doing well. I was doing good to do well. And there was definitely a part of me that was thinking about, the aspects of Kiddo Byte that would serve me. And I think over time, as I started teaching more courses, as I was starting to go in person and meet my students, as our reach expanded globally and I was witnessing new cultures and different sorts of people, I learned that giving back is really just about doing that, giving back. It's about the people that you're serving. And that leadership is not about the leader, it's about the people that you are hopefully, bringing up and taking along with you. Those are sort of two of my main realizations. I can definitely say I've fundamentally changed as a person through Kiddo Byte, and that's thanks to the opportunities that Brookview has provided me, and just the fortunate connections that we've made in Kenya and throughout the U.S. And it's really been a blessing.
As the school year enters the final semester time, what are some offerings that you'll have available or maybe continue to grow into the summer?
Oh yeah, so we have a lot of really incredible things brewing. Not only are we going to hopefully continue our online courses, which we always are announcing new sets, but we're also looking into going to Kenya in person. This is a possibility on the horizon. We're not sure exactly how COVID will play out, and we're still trying to figure it out. So no promises, but it's definitely something I would look forward to if possible. And in addition to that, going to Brookview into the summer, again each week. We're hoping that will continue making more partnerships and expanding across Boston and other transitional housing shelters. And we're also a really big endeavor right now concerns the very current dilemma in Ukraine and with Russia and Ukraine, and we are looking into possibly teaching Ukrainian refugees, offering our courses there with connections that we have in either Ukraine or in the countries surrounding where people have fled.
Fabulous, fabulous. And looking ahead, how about yourself? You're a senior now, so moving on from Arlington High School next year, your involvement and just what you might go on to study wherever that might be.
Right. Well, I'm happy to say that on Monday I was accepted to MIT.
Oh,
So
congratulations.
thank you very much, Shay. Thank you
Wow.
very much. And so I'll be local still here in Boston, which means that hopefully in-person classes at the various homeless shelters that we're partnered with will continue to be a possibility. I don't know how my involvement will evolve, whether online classes will continue in the form that they do, but we're definitely going to keep Kiddo Byte going and try to maximize our impact so that way it'll last, beyond Kiddo Byte.
Wonderful. Well, unfortunately, we've come to the end of the program. Been so inspiring to hear you share what you've been able to accomplish just within a matter of less than 2 years, I believe. So fabulous. And the exciting plans for the future that you just outlined, just see the growth is going to continue. And best of luck too, not only with Kiddo Byte, but with the next step of your education.
Thank you very much, Jay. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
I also want to thank those of you watching for joining us and hope you'll be able to tune in next time.